New York City and my listeners around the world. This is your host, Elizabeth Tripp. You're listening to another live edition of Luminous Life Podcast. It's Wednesday evening, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we're live on YouTube. You can always tune in for the live show by visiting bit.ly/Luminous Life Podcast. Or if you're out and about in the world and you want to take a listen while you're doing something, maybe driving in your car, vacationing in a plane, you're heading across the world, or visiting family, you can head over to any major podcasting platforms. iTunes, Stitcher, Podbean, Tuned In. You can find Luminous Life right there. It is just that easy. And like I said, I'm so excited to be here. I come every Wednesday night sharing the universe's wisdom as we really look at our life experiences in a whole new way. In Luminous Life, we're taking our life journey and we're bridging it to our soul's lessons. What we've really come to this experience, this earth journey, to get for ourselves, to learn for ourselves, and to expand upon within ourselves. We're all here for a reason, and there is a deeper purpose to the experiences that we go through, whether they are heartaches or a major challenge or a loss or hurts and pains. The thing that brings us all together is that we've all experienced in some way, shape, or form a trepidation. And there is a deeper meaning and a connectiveness that we can all find within ourselves as we shed light and illuminate why these things have happened and what are they truly here to offer us. And instead of just being in the suffering, we can move out of it as we strengthen the light within ourselves and really start to understand the deeper meaning of life. That to me is a really exciting subject. As many of you know who are joining me, I'm a life activator, meaning I activate people on their journey back to their true, authentic self. And really, along the way, we uncover the obstacles, the things that have been limiting them from living their best life. And the most amazing part about it is that along that way, along that journey, you begin to uncover your own true connection to the universe, to a light within you that has existed for your entire life, and actually for eons and eons, eternity. It's a really fascinating work that I do, and I'm so blessed to be able to do what I love and love it at the same time. You know, I came into this work several years ago, and I have just found such appreciation for helping people. I wouldn't want to do anything else, actually. So it's really my mission, something I'm very passionate about, whether it's on my podcast or if you come and see me one-on-one, to shift your life out of hard and into easy. Why? Well, because I've been there. I've been in the trenches. I've been in a place in myself where I felt like I wanted to give up, where I couldn't imagine living another day or going forward with the amount of heartache or pain or sorrow that I carried within. And when I finally got to the bottom of the way that I was feeling and set myself free from it, I knew that all I wanted to do was really bring the same light that I had discovered for myself to everyone else. So hence, this is why I'm here. And I know that each of you who are joining me tonight want something different for yourself, or you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be tuning in. Your soul, something greater than you, a magnetic energy force, has guided you to this show. And really, there's something that you are here to discover for yourself. And I've crafted something really powerful. Tonight, we're going to be talking about the presence as a superpower in your life, or really having presence and awareness as a superpower, something that we can draw upon during these trepidations, during these challenges, during these feelings of hurt and pain, and see it as a gift, as a way for us to move through life and its experience with much, much more understanding. And in that presence, being able to see each experience as an offering, as a tool for ourselves. And really, like I said in the beginning, a space where we can learn something that our soul has been wanting to really get and understand for itself. So we're going to be talking about presence in a whole new way, and really helping us see how many of us who come to this show grapple or struggle with really trying to feel happy and satisfied and content in the present. It's so fascinating, but really a majority of us are actually pulled by the future, really chained to future conversation. What if? How can I make this work? And if it does, then I'll feel satisfied. Then I'll be happy. Or we're often tied to the past. Oh, I can't believe I did this. And I can't believe that I said that. Or the way that I handled that was so wrong. And now I feel so guilty. So interesting. Many of us are wondering how we can access feeling happy, feeling powerful, feeling really truly free in life when we're in the midst of these future conversations and tied to the past. Well, it's not possible, because in those conversations, there isn't a presence to what is. We actually haven't slowed ourselves down and really indeed allowed us to see why we're currently going through what we are, why we are chained to the future or tied to the past. What is it that we haven't quite gotten or seen or understood or in completion with or at peace with that is keeping us in these two different realities, out of the present, out of awareness? It's really, really, really fascinating, because presence is a state of being that actually offers us freedom in the here and now, which many, many, many people you can see do not feel that way. Look at the majority of people out in the world. I mean, just by physical shape, you can see lots of people are carrying weight on their bodies. And usually, in many ways, from a spiritual perspective, a weight is a symbol of not being able to let go and need for protection. So there's something that we're actually feeling within ourselves that we haven't gotten present to, and it may be showing up as a conversation in the past or in the future that is actually running through our energetic system and really keeping us in a space within ourselves where we feel we need to protect ourselves from it. You see that with people usually going through the drive-through and picking up the fries and the burgers after a hard day. Or, last night I was on the subway and a guy popped a beer and it splashed everywhere. And his way to, sort of soothe the uncomfortableness or the, oh, what is he doing? I had a hard day. And everybody chuckles and can somehow, give him the liberty then to be able to drink his pain down. So we are going to be in tonight, as we dive into tonight's show, really draw awareness as we slow down. So something that I think is important before we get to we'll call it the meat and potatoes of tonight's broadcast, is to first take a nice big deep breath and just allow yourself, if you're joining me on the live or even post this broadcast, to just let go of what you're carrying with you. Today's frustrations, today's energy of the coworkers or people on the street around you, or simply maybe an incident that happened that has left you maybe feeling like you shoulda, woulda, coulda, or perhaps it's just the thought of what might happen tomorrow, what you have to do, where you need to go. Let's just let that all out of our body. Releasing it and inviting Spirit now to join us, to be a part of this conversation as I open myself up and serve as a channel, a real conduit for energy of this higher power that is omnipresent around us, that's everywhere, and allow it to work through me and really truly serve as a purposeful conversation for you tonight to really get something powerful for yourself, because I so deeply enjoy being in that connection, in presence with that energy and sharing it with you. So as we start tonight's show, let's intend it's going to be a powerful broadcast, one where we slow down and really essentially speed up to what it is that our soul is wanting to understand, wanting to learn and expand from, and therefore free ourselves in many ways from what we are chained to the future in or tied to the past in, and what has brought us out of the gift of the present moment. Because really, that's all we ever truly have. So there was this great quote as I started to plan tonight's broadcast. It's by Eckhart Tolle. Interesting. Said his name funny. Eckhart Tolle. He is a philosopher and spiritual teacher, and he's written many, many books. But he has this really beautiful quote that I felt was very purposeful and really sets a great tone for tonight's show. And it starts by saying, unease, anxiety, tension, stress, worry, all forms of fear are caused by too much future and not enough presence. Guilt, regret, resentment, grievances, sadness, bitterness, and all forms of non-forgiveness are caused by too much past and not enough presence. That was by Eckhart Tolle, and I thought, wow, what a beautiful, beautiful capture of being out of the here and now, really moving out of presence and being stuck in the future, in anxiety, ridden with it, or in tension, or feeling stress, or tied to the past with guilt and resentment and grievances. How interesting, because how many of us can relate to being in that space with ourselves and then having dialogue or conversation dominate our headspace as a result in an unhealthy way or a not so, serving way for ourselves. So, wow, to be fully immersed in our life experiences. If we read that quote, we are not immersed. We are just simply at the mercy of life. And when we are at the mercy of life, we cannot see what is. We can only really contemplate what was or what could be, which never fully allows us to fully experience feeling free or powerful or smart or good or happy. It's really crazy to think about. So what I want to do is I want to pull us into the understanding of being in our experiences and the gift that it truly offers us to be here right now. And what that really means is to be in an experience, is to really fully allow yourself to feel what you're in, to be at one with what is, to allow yourself to actually have the permission to move through emotion, to have awareness as a result of what you're really saying. Wow, I say that and living in Manhattan, the city of New York, 8 million people. Do you know how many conversations are running, how much dialogue is happening, and I'm asking for presence. And let me tell you, it might sound like a lot of work, but it's actually very easy. Okay. So I have another interesting fact, and I bring this to the table tonight because it's a quote from the National Science Foundation, and it's about our thoughts. It's about our habitual thoughts and patterns of thinking, and I find this really relative to tonight's conversation. So here goes. Humans have anywhere from 12,000 to 60,000 thoughts per day. But according to some research, as many as 98% of them are exactly the same. So interestingly, we almost think the same thing every day. But even more significant than that, 80% of our thoughts are negative. 80% of our thoughts are negative. And when we look at anxiety and we look at grievances or sadness or worry, those are not positive states of being. So what that supports, just that, fact from the National Science Foundation, is that we are truly out of the presence. We are not in sync with what is. We are actually reaching out for escape. And it's so fascinating as we do that. We draw more in of what we don't want to receive. We actually get more of what we don't want. Can you imagine that? Many of us walking around with a chip on our shoulder, moving full speed ahead, right, to an unknown destination, in hopes to arrive at happiness. That is what we all are looking for. And we're actually trying to do it so fast. We're doing it by going on Instagram, on getting up on social media and being on our Facebook and comparing ourselves to others and looking at their life and wondering, when I do this, then things will feel better for me. And how can I get there? And what will I need to do to be able to do that? That is such a pressuring conversation. It's such a speedy way to be in life. How can we stop and smell the roses then and really see where it is that we are at with ourselves in order for us to make any improvements at all? We can't. We only get stuck. It's so fascinating. So we're all moving, interestingly, at lightning speed. And we gather more of what we don't want as a result. And we start to lose the joy in life. We start to actually feel less joyful. And as we do that, the conditions start to pile up. And we have to then strive to be happy. And we often in that race feel like we don't always want to be with what we're experiencing. So in the race to be happy, in the race to be successful, in the race to be powerful, we find ourselves wanting to escape, wanting to get out of that. So interesting. So we're all either in the future or we're tied back into the past. And as soon as we get present to what it's making us feel like, pressure, anxiety, sadness, grievances, we actually come up with dialogue and we have unhealthy conversation. 80% of it is unhealthy. And then we want to get out of it. We don't even like what we've created anymore. So we want to escape. And there's so many things that people do to escape. They can click on the TV. They can go to the corner store and grab some beers. They can head to the bar. They can go through the fast food drive-through. They can stop at a restaurant. They can swipe left or right on a dating app. They can play video games. There is so much available for us to escape, but there's less conversation about being present, we're masterminds at escaping, but yet, we're seeing all these unhealthy things as a result, and we're wondering why and how do we actually arrive and get to the destination of happiness. Well, there's not many people out there actually talking about slowing down and the benefit then of speeding up, and in terms of really then arriving and getting what you're looking for. So it's so funny. Why? Why do we do this? Why do we reach out of the present? Why do we turn away from being aware? And why do we turn our back on actually really what we truly want? Well, here's the funny thing, at least from my perspective, this is how I see it. We are eternal beings, meaning that within ourselves we have an eternal energy. We're connected to a incredible force of energy. So in that capacity, in that sentence, or in that notion, we have forever to learn. We have forever to grow. We have forever to arrive. We have forever to find home. So what truly is the rush? What is the need to figure it out all right now, or get to the next destination yesterday, or pine over what we did wrong 2 days ago or 10 years ago? Why do we hold on so much to the past and look so much to the future when we have eternity to figure it out? Really interesting. We often overcomplicate our lives and make them more hard and difficult than they truly need to be, with all the ways that we've come up with to escape and push our emotions down and really feed our energy bodies with more of what we don't want. We end up finding ourselves stuck and not in the places that we want to be in. So we go from one thing to a next until it truly becomes a habit. It's crazy, right? It's like we're hardwired, we're programmed to do it. And really, our life is full of triggers. It can be our boss, our boyfriend, to the guy on the street, right? I came here, it was a rainstorm, crazy weather. And I'm seeing people all over the street getting triggered because somebody's umbrella is bumping into theirs. And there's this automatic reaction of, you should know that my umbrella needs its space and you can't knock into mine. So there's this collision of triggering automatic reactions. And I can imagine someone getting home into their apartment or at their house and like reaching for the beer or grabbing the glass of wine, or, going into blame or complain mode as soon as they walked in the door when they met their spouse or their loved one or their roommate. So we do this really funny thing. We escape what's uncomfortable. We reach out of what we experienced instead of finding it laughable. I mean, really what I truly had to do, and what I said to my engineer, was you just have to surrender. You just have to let it be. It's raining, it's pouring, there's umbrellas, I'm soaking wet. But wow, what a glorious cool down. What a nice, really wash of my system before I get to head into the next part of my evening. What a nice reset from the hot humidity that it's been in the last few days. And what appreciation I can have for the coolness on my feet and for really the funniness of what I'm in, soaking wet and having to show up for my podcast. So that's what I mean with being in the present, really watching our mind, watching our dialogue, watching our feelings just rising up and falling out. And let me tell you, that's taken some time for me to get there. It's taken time for me to move into that. And I'm going to share with you guys a story tonight that helps illustrate, how I used to rush out of things. I wasn't born with some, enlightened view. I certainly had, like I said, my own trepidations, my own challenges. And I used to be, you guys probably won't even believe this, but a very anxious person. You go and ask my sister, and she would say she couldn't be around me for more than, 10 or 15 minutes, probably 5 or 6 years ago, because my anxiousness would just be reverberating out, and I'd be, my leg would be kind of shaking. I'd talking fast. It was always directed at what's going to happen in the future. This is what I'll do next, or what I was pining over in the past. I was never in the present moment, and I was very reactive, short-fused, a lot of anger, but there was a lot of pressure that was inside of me. So that's what was drawing me out of myself. So wow, so many of us, so many people out there, not in tune, not in sync with the here and now, yet there's so much for us to learn. My life has accelerated as a result of slowing down and looking at myself and really understanding and dissecting what it is that I'm feeling and letting myself really see it, understand it, let it go, and then create something different as a result that would better serve me. Being in presence has been a superpower, and it can be for you as well. So let's go into this story. I want to bring you guys all with me on my journey as I share with you from my heart what I have been learning and what I used to do. So, like I said, I used to be someone who put a lot of pressure on myself. I had a lot of anxiety, and there was this strong desire within me to succeed, to be my best, to really prove to others that I was good enough, that I was capable, that I could do it. And I can remember the first time that I felt like I wasn't enough, or that I wasn't going to succeed, or that I was going to fail. And it began at an early age, sitting at my desk at school. And I can remember the classroom being warm. It was a humid day, so it was close to the end of school, probably a May or June day. And my teacher had just announced we were having a pop quiz on chapter 10 or 9 of a book that we were all reading as a class, an assignment that we had. And I remember sitting at my desk, and I remember thinking, reading assignment? What reading assignment? And I felt this hot energy. I remember it. It was a hot energy start to stream up the back of my neck, and it started to boil underneath my skin. And my face felt all flush, and suddenly I felt dizzy. I could feel the panic inside my chest as my heart raced. I didn't do the assignment. I'm so stupid. I'm going to fail. This is awful. What is she going to think? I'm so embarrassed. What is everybody else going to think? Can you hear the pressure I put on myself? The disappointment, the shame, the scared, the worried. I was so afraid and so tied, chained to the future of that outcome of what would happen to me. That wasn't the first time I felt that way. Years later, I can remember feeling like that pressure was growing bigger and bigger. As I moved through high school, it actually became more demanding. To succeed, to do more, to be more, to get more, to look more. Bigger and bigger it grew. And I got to the point where I would put such a tremendous effort into planning and controlling my life, my outcomes, to the point where I would measure my food, or I would count my calories, or I would plan weeks in advance of how I was going to get an A on a quiz, or I was going to complete a project, and I would study pages and pages and rewrite my notes so I would ensure that I would get a really good grade. the pressure would build and build. And what started happening was my mind was racy. I was always in a constant state of looking towards the future. What could I do better? How could I make this work? How could I control the outcome? How could I make this be in my favor? In fear, really, of failing, of feeling like I would disappoint. So I was tied to that past experience when I hadn't prepared for that book quiz, that tremendous disappointment I had felt in myself. And interestingly enough, in high school, I reached for alcohol, I reached for hookups, I reached for video games, I reached for sleeping. I would do anything to bring myself out of feeling all that pressure, even though it was this thing that really propelled me towards success. It was so exhausting. It was just so tiring. And as I reached for these things, I stuffed down those feelings more and more and more. And that really carried through into my 20s, into, my relationships, into how I, felt all throughout this time period in my life leading up to when I met my teacher. It created such a strong negative dialogue within myself that I'm not enough, I'm destined to fail, that I am not going to be able to succeed the way that others are. It put so much pressure on me that I never fully could be alone with myself. I could never really be with me. And so I always had something to do. My phone, my friends, alcohol, relationships, sleeping. It was always an occupation rather than just being with what I was feeling and thinking. It's crazy to think about. But when I met my teacher years later, just as I turned 30 years old, he helped me. When I met him, it was just incredible. He helped me truly slow down. And I can remember what he said. It was so powerful. He said, "Elizabeth, what's the rush? You have already arrived." And I just paused to what he was saying, and he continued to say, "To slow down, my friend, is to really speed up." And it was in those sessions that I worked with him that he had such a great way of helping me really understand where the pressure had come from, really help me understand why, what challenges I had as a result because I carried it inside me. And he helped me release it. He helped me get clear with it. And he helped me really leave that in the past so that I could create and design a different future that was full of more peace and calm and relaxation. And as a result, I began to deeply connect with myself. I actually began to enjoy being on my own, enjoy moments of silence. I found meditation. I saw that when I was in a space of quiet that I truly could hear and really understand what I was going through. It brought me back to the present. So I committed to moving through the discomfort, which is often what many of us are actually trying to escape. But it's self-prophesized. That's what we don't realize. We are in control of what's occurring, and there's a reason why we're having habitual patterns and things that are showing up time and time again. So being in my experiences, letting myself move through them, be fully immersed, feel them, see them, understand them, and then as a result, let them go and create a new way of being for myself, actually help me understand fundamental soul lessons that were necessary and very, very important for me to be able to be with you this evening. And so that pressure to perform and get to the destination, it no longer exists. It is no longer there for me. I have arrived, and I feel happiness and calm and peace within. And I truly know that you out there want the same thing for yourself. You want to feel that, and you deserve to. So I'm appreciative of the here and now. I am very grateful for all that it has given me. And I know that the presence of being in each challenge, because there's still challenges that come up for me, is a superpower, because it allows for me to continue to expand and to grow and evolve and soar to new heights and new places. And if you out there want that for yourself too, I want you to just take the leap tonight. Take action to work with me and create a new way of being with yourself. You know what to do. Head over to my website, it's nourishthesoul.nyc, and book that free half an hour with me, and let's get the conversation going. Let's bring you back to the present. Because when you can be in the here and now, you can create more, you can do more, you can see more, you can be more. And here's the thing that I want to leave you with tonight. What do you actually get out of rushing out of life? What do you get from your escapes? And are they truly helping you and serving you in the way that you truly desire? Or are they keeping you stuck and reaching for more, as though you haven't quite yet arrived at your destination? But when will you arrive then? Slowing down is speeding up. So my friends, this is Elizabeth Tripp signing out tonight on Luminous Life Podcast, Love and Light.